The BMW i3s, the new sporty version of the electric vehicle. Today in our full review on Autogefühl, your number one resource for in-depth car reviews and your number one community to discuss cars with Thomas. We're going to take a detailed look on the exterior, interior and the new driving experience. We will tell you everything you need to know about the recent facelift of the i3, because it comes both for the normal i3 and a special feature on the i3s here today. We will resolve questions if you want to buy this vehicle, if you're already owning one, because we have previously received questions from BMW i3 owners. And of course, if you're just interested in this vehicle, join us in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! Imperial Blue and Melbourne Red are the new colors. You can guess which one is this one. By the way, all plastics here, also in the lower part. This is due to lightweight building. And the i3s also features this new sportier front. You see stronger bumpers in the lower part to have a bigger stance on the road already from the decor or bumper elements. And the lights, the headlights now, no matter if you got the i3 normal facelift or the i3s, always come in the full LED spec now. By the way, the turning indicators also come with LED technology now. So 4 meters or 13'1" is the total length of the i3. That hasn't changed, of course. The i3s package, well, it's almost 4,000 euros extra in price. What else do you get? You can maybe also see from here bigger and wider tires, and also the wheel arches are wider, more accentuated. We can even see that better soon from the rear. However, the rims, not only 19 but 20-inch from standard equipment in black, that it also looks a little bit more evil. And one of your question was, can I also still get it with 19-inch, because, you know, there may be bad roads where you live? Well, yes and no. So from works equipment, the i3s always comes with 20-inch summer tires, and when you get the optional winter tires, you can have them on 19-inch. And then on those winter tires, well, you could exactly then also put summer tires on the winter wheels. Maybe a little bit complicated, so but that would be the solution. Then again, this new red color works pretty well also with the unique shapes of the i3, which are a little bit love or hate. Which one are you? Tell me in the comments, definitely. And the side lower bumper also pretty thick in this i3s design, and again the more accentuated wheel arches also in the rear. So yes, it definitely works with the sportier look, because I mean, we've talked about the i3 a couple of times and it's a very sporty car to drive, but so far it didn't look that sporty. That's what the i3s is trying to change now. So in the rear you can see the full scale of this sports package. The wheels, as I said, 2 centimeters wider, with the wheel arches also on both sides, that they really fit in there. So overall 4 centimeters wider, and the sport suspension built in here 10 millimeters lower. So overall a little bit lower, a little bit wider with this new sporty look. I think it does fit the vehicle. What about you? Tell me your thoughts about that in the comments. Also, you have questioned if that one here is also possible to retrofit with the existing i3. And BMW says, unfortunately, no, it's not. Of course, they want to sell the new i3s. And if you haven't got the battery update so far, I mean, that would be another reason. We'd soon talk about that one too. And also the other questions were more referring to driving the vehicle. We will resolve those ones in the driving part. And of course, not to forget, 1,300 kilograms of weight just for this vehicle. It's small, but still together with the battery. Usually those vehicles would be heavier, but we have this CFRP, carbon fiber reinforced plastic chassis, and that one really brings the weight down. That is of course very special with this vehicle still. So let's talk about the engine. Well, I can't fool i3 owners with that. There's nothing in the front. Engine and battery, 27 kilowatt hours, are stored where they have better effect on the weight distribution of the vehicle. So here in the front, you just get, a bag for the charging cables and stuff, and can put in some wiper fluid. But as we are standing here at the classic side of where an engine would be with old vehicles, let's talk about the engine. Because here with the i3s, we got a horsepower upgrade, 184 horsepower instead of 170. And this brings down the acceleration figure to 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour to 6.9 seconds instead of 7.3. So that's the power upgrade you have. The official range also goes down then a little bit, but it more depends really on how you are driving. That is a bigger effect. In general, the i3 with the facelift with the battery that was already introduced a little bit earlier is now at about 200 kilometers real electric driving range as we tested it, or 125 miles. And then you can also have still the range extender also for the i3s, this 0.6 liter displacement, well, basically a motorcycle engine. This one brings another 9 liter fuel tank and can bring somewhere 150 kilometers of additional range. So you can either go for the pure electric version or then again still with the range extender. The basic difference here with the i3s is really that you get more horsepower, a little bit more power, better acceleration, and they have also tuned the suspension I said earlier and the ESP, the stability program. Of course, all the details about the handling and stuff when we drive the vehicle. Now to the interior with the very slim key, I like that. Open the trunk, open the front hatch, close the vehicle, open it. And when you open it, then also the side mirrors fold out. And when you hold the open button, there's this comfort entry where the windows go down. You can also raise the windows later from the outside when you hold the closing button, so the other way around. So when you're, for example, in a narrow parking lot, you can get in like this, for example. That helps a little bit then. The doors open quite wide, and then it's also the secret of the i3. Well, it's a disadvantage that when you want to drop your kids off at school, they cannot open the door themselves. which, well, in some point when they're very young is also an advantage then. However you take that in perspective, then they open in a suicide manner. Of course, this leaves a great shot at the interior, so a dream for automotive journalists and cameramen, that's for sure. Then let's talk about the different setups you have here. It's the same with the i3 and the i3s. You can get the very same interior as colors outside. You can also get the same colors inside. The base version, called Atelier, comes with the black fabric. Then, and it would be my choice, it's called Loft, would come with bright gray fabric and SensorTech BMW leather red elements. That would be my choice. Looks great in visuals and also in haptics. And then this one is one of two animal skin variants. This one called Sweet, not as in sweets, but as in a, hotel suite, for example. And there's also a bright animal skin variant called Lodge. But of course, for a very sustainable car where also recycled materials being used, like for example here at the inside of the doors, well done, a lot of recycled materials for the i3, then of course animal skin does not make any sense. But you have two choices which look great and also great in the material use. So that's available, and again, for the i3 and the i3s, it doesn't matter, you can get both. Then here, getting inside, well, it's pretty easy, especially when both doors are opened, and it's a small vehicle, but it has a lot of room. So I'm 1.86 m or 6'1", still leaves some headroom there. And then you got this lounge atmosphere, which is famous for the i3. It's so great. One of the questions was, can I still get the bamboo interior? Yes, it's still possible. Here we have the dark matte wood. It's really feeling great. It does not leave any fingerprints and brings so much natural life in the interior. And of course, wood can also be harvested sustainable. Then two screens. This one the optional 10.2 inch. And this one here the smaller one for the gauges, where you can start up the car. Here also. There we go, you have the basic information there in the line of sight. And again, very wide, everything here again with the recycled materials. I just love this interior already here in the front. There haven't been too many changes on the interior. So the i3s is mainly an exterior package together with the power update and of course driving changes. Let's first finish the interior. So about the seat controls, manual here for the back part of the seat, you pull it up and then control it with your back, and I think it's really smoothly possible. I prefer that one in contrary, of a turning knob. But what about you? And then this one here is also a different system. We know that from BMWs, if you make yourself light, the seat goes up, and if you fall back to the seat, it goes down. Also an interesting solution. I really like that. And also normal length control is manual on the right side. Then the steering wheel, the column can also be adjusted up and down, and also inward and outward again. Actually pretty far towards you. That's not even needed for me here. It's like this would be a good position. And the thing is really, although it's a small vehicle, you really feel at home, really feel super comfortable even here as tall people. And this is also the new vehicle concept here from the i3 in general, because of this sandwich building mechanism that they have the batteries in the floor bottom and there's no big middle tunnel and stuff. You can really use the advantages of an electric vehicle. Interior overview, well, again, still it's a couple of years old now, this interior, but still has this wow effect also, or especially from your perspective now, again with the wide use of matte wood. And well, the display stands on its own basically, but here in this vehicle it somehow works. The upper part buttons could be left out, Mima, I think. Volume control. Then you can also, when you turn on the heating, you can control it right there. And here also the strength of the vents. And that's basically it. The glove box can be opened right there. Some room inside. As this. And here you put in the gears, put it forward to drive mode, backwards to reverse. It's easy, or the P button. There was an M5 in the rear view camera. Yeah, talking about the rear view camera, very nice resolution right there. You can very well see that. it's an option, of course, as most of the things. And well, this steering wheel is the right size, the airbag here inside, and itself the steering wheel. It looks a little bit asymmetric, but then again, it makes it pretty unique once more. There's no button for the ESC stuff. You have to do that in the infotainment system. I'm showing you that very soon. Infotainment system in detail. Wow, nice weather here today, signaling by the connected drive, which is optional. Then the navigation, GPS, the map is offering a good overview right here. Is also fast in the responsiveness. Then phone can be connected classic via Bluetooth or also with the smartphone mirroring. Here, for example, Apple CarPlay with plugging it in, or also BMW actually offers it the connection also wireless. Then the My Vehicle status is interesting. You can take a look at different things here, but most important is acoustic pedestrian warning. That's interesting because you can also deactivate. It's a little buzzing sound created for pedestrians. It will be mandatory in most of the countries pretty soon, or already is. And then we also have the traction control. They have worked on that one especially for this facelift model here. And when you have it on, nice visualization by the way, they've worked it for both models. When it's on, it's even giving you more safety. For example, it's a rear-wheel drive car, so when you hammer the throttle on wet ground, it will still stabilize the car. However, then on the i3s, if you then go to this traction DSC or ESC, this one then is giving you more room to play then, especially in the i3s, so that you can also, for example, drift a little bit when you have red road. So standard, stricter than before, with traction off, less strict than before. So the armrest here, you can fold it up. Then you have this old school mobile phone holder inside. You can flip the whole thing up. Then you only have one USB port here. Should be two, shouldn't it? 12-volt power supply next to it. Electric handbrake. Then this one here is the control terminal for the infotainment system, turning and pressing. Then some hotkeys to reach the map directly, for example. Then the driving modes, Eco, Pro, AC is turned off, throttle input decreased, Sport mode, throttle input increased, steering wheel a little bit stiffer. We talk more about that when we drive the vehicle. And two cup holders here in the front, pretty solid. And you have a nice i3s logo right there on those integrated floor mats. You can take out the whole thing, which on the one hand looks good, but if you've taken out it once and all the, dust and stones roll all over the vehicle, then with those ones, with the integrated floor mats, it's actually better to leave them always in and just vacuum clean them as they are. So the rear compartments. You can pull a lever here behind the head restraints and then flip it, but you cannot push it any more forward by this. However, well, I have the seat as I would be driving as a rather tall person, and it's a really, really short vehicle. So still I can sit here, and that's, I think, pretty remarkable. For me, it would be better when the driver now would be sitting a little bit higher, that I can put my feet a little bit better under the seat. Well, I'm sitting a little bit cramped here in the rear, but I mean, considering the short length of this vehicle, it's really totally okay. And if the driver would be a little bit smaller, or I would restrict myself as a driver a little bit, putting the seat a little bit higher, a little bit more in the front, or for example, like the co-driver seat can be put more in the front, then you have really enough room. You can really use this vehicle also with 4 adults, and that's very rare in this size, in this segment. Also headroom-wise, this still does exactly fit. Other than that, you have the ISOFIX fixations here, or anchor points on both seats. That's possible. Here the head restraints can be flipped up, or to have a better view to the rear, can be folded down. We have some holders right here for the seat belts that also stays clean and sorted out. Then there's this lash here in the lower part. You pull them right there, and then you can flip it and see all our messy stuff in the rear, which we will hopefully be able to clean up when we open the trunk. And now let's open the trunk. Here we go. And we've left the cabin trolley inside. You can see the sizes. It's actually the even loading sill because, you know, engine, battery element stuff are also placed below that. Then you can also remove the top cover like this. It can easily be removed as well. And good thing they kept also this latch here that you can also flip the seat right from here. This, here we go, because otherwise you would have to go across, open the front door, open the rear door, and then do it. So it's good that they have really thought about that. So then you can even load things through, put the front seat a little bit more in the front for the maximum loading setup. You can flip the seat even. That would be it. And I would like to know, has anyone ever fitted a mountain bike with a demounted front tire in here? I would like to know that. If you have done so far, tell me in the comments. Now to our driving part. Start the vehicle, put in D mode, and of course it's silent as ever. So that's just a great thing about this car. It's so silent, so smooth. Even if you just want to go really slow, it's possible. Very gently press the throttle. You can so well control that. And of course you wonder about this new acceleration. And I mean, why not test it right away here? Just for a short bit. Just let's hammer throttle with the i3s. You ready, guys? And that was 75 already. Wow. Nice. Uphill, no problem. And for those very small roads, this vehicle is very suitable. For example, here. This guy decided to block the road a little bit with his big SUV. That was close. But with an i3 you still fit through. So that's really live situations and you don't get any sweat by that. So we'll soon test the acceleration when we have the room for that. Here a little more city driving. I use the one pedal driving feeling. So basically just applying the throttle. Nothing else. Brakes, well, you really hardly use them at all. For example, even if we're going downhill now, I just use the regeneration or recuperation, however you want to call it. So I lift the throttle and whoa. This guy is missing a racetrack, right? Crazy stuff happening here. You should check out our BMW M5 video where we use a proper racetrack and can officially do stuff like that. So let's apply some more throttle as we're getting out of the rural villages. And it's so effortless to drive it. Here a good test also now on bumpy roads. And yeah, you do feel that the suspension is somewhat stiffer. However, the base setup of the BMW i3 is already stiff and sporty, especially for an electric vehicle if you compare some of the competitors. And then the question is really, is there then a very big difference to this one? Well, I would say it's not the biggest difference, but there surely is a difference. So it is somewhat a little bit less comfortable over the bumps, and well, that's due to the stiffer suspension and also due to the bigger wheels. However, you get more control in agile situations, winding roads and stuff. So the question is really, do you want that? And obviously BMW has received several requests from i3 customers who really want to have that, and now you can get it. Here always when you get through to some intersections, you just lift the throttle and let the car recuperate. There's also this regenerative braking, reduces the speed automatically, and only if you need a real hard braking process, then you would use the brake, or for example here, if I want to come to a full stop, really check the situation, then that's fine. Hey, let's go to the tunnel, floor the throttle, listen to the sound. Not possible here. But you can just just a little bit. Now we get to the stuff we really need for the i3s. So the car really behaves very well on those twisty roads. Wow. Natural steering feeling, not too progressive, but very well to control. Stays so upright, doesn't tilt at all. Really a lot of fun to ride. The roads are sometimes a little bit rough. You can still withstand that, so it's not that you would get any lower back pain or something. So it is still suitable for everyday driving. I was a little bit afraid before that they would make the difference maybe too big, that the i3s was basically very uncomfortable then. But as you have the upright seating position and it's still somewhat a good setup, this is really fine. So they haven't made it too stiff. So great fun ride. You can really have a pure sports vehicle ride, although you are in an electric vehicle. And again, just with the one pedal right there. How easy this car is taking those corners. Well, we also have the rear-wheel drive that also accounts for the sporty appearance this car has, of course. And I talked about the stability control, which I cannot exactly activate or deactivate with a button, so I have to go to the menu to change that. Well, in most of the times you don't really need it. This is also your dry conditions, dry road. Wow. Also the great acceleration out. I mean, there's like the immediate torque. Here we can also test the acceleration when we go straight. There's no one behind us, no one in front of us. I'll just floor the throttle. Let's see how it goes. And that's 90 kilometers an hour. That's enough here for this area. Wow. That went pretty quick, didn't it? So you almost save half a second with the acceleration. So you also do feel this notable difference. And now let's check. First of all, let's reset the onboard computer for a real consumption figure, because I don't want to have this 0 to 90 acceleration in there. That would not be real proper. And what about let's see. You know, the drive settings we talked about before, the traction control. So when we now go to the traction control, where you have a little bit more play with, let's see if this is changing anything. I mean, we got dry roads, so it shouldn't be changing too much. This would rather be if you have a playground where you can make the asphalt a little bit wet and then play with the vehicle a little bit around. And let's see if I can also induce something which is a little bit more loose on the road, if I can actually feel that. Slalom like slow areas. Wow. It's again great handling, but it's not like then we have the i3s, that then you would be just having the great handling car. Actually, you already have it in the base model. So now a little bit slower. The wind insulation, some of you guys asked that, it's totally the same in the i3s and in the i3. I mean, it's not exactly an Autobahn vehicle, also from the form that it's built for. However, It does have good, air streamline values, so that's optimized for that, but it's not, also due to the electric drive, not a vehicle you would drive very fast on German Autobahn with. However, stability-wise and from driving dynamics, it would surely be suitable for that. That's no question at all. Also see how the steering wheel reacts and gives a direct input to the road. It's really fun. Again, from 30 to 50, just in a bit. Especially the low speed acceleration, that one is really great. So the real range is of course at the moment reduced by those acceleration tests. But again, it would more play a role how you really drive the car than the decision between i3 and i3s, that's for sure. Here you can unleash some more power. But the question is always, will you actually do that? So you don't have to, exactly. Oh, there's another i3. So we also got an i3 in front of us now. It's also good for the camera to be able to look at that. Slow in the city again, feel how narrow the car is. We go left very soon. Now bump is also interesting. Well, oh, there you do feel the stiffer suspension. So when you're driving over those traffic bumps, because when the car goes up, stabilizes from suspension and then down again, that's really a little bit better with normal i3. Then again, the question is, what do you prefer? When you accelerate down, it's really incredible how fast this vehicle is. So again, would I rather go for the i3s or the normal i3? Well, you can have a little sportier fun with that one here, that's for sure. I would say it depends on the roads you have. If you like to drive sport a lot of the time and you have good roads, then probably the i3s is really suitable for you. If you have bad roads, prefer a little bit more of comfort, then stick with the normal i3. Here, by the way, now in the corners, when I have this traction mode, I'm in the corners and then push the throttle a little bit. I feel that the rear is getting a little lighter than before. So it's not like you could immediately throw the super drift on dry roads, but it gives you some more agility. Let's see, we'll just go around the corner here and then turn a little bit more. Wow! Nice! I'm not sure if you've seen it on camera, but actually when I turn the steering wheel all the way and then hammer the throttle and have this traction mode on, the rear really comes around a little bit. Maybe you heard that more than seeing or feeling it. And just to show you the difference again. So I go to the traction control and then go to normal DC on. And if I would just do the same, basically nothing happens. I feel that the front right tire is braking and so stabilizes the vehicle. And from the driving vent we row in after another i3. The Visa got in between us. Too bad. But that's really also a key finding here. So with the traction control off, you can have even more driving fun with this vehicle, tuned to that point. Of course, be careful on wet roads. So when it's wet and you don't really have the room to play around freely, then rather stay with the DSC on. But I think we could show that very well here now, what the difference is if you really force the issue. So definitely still such a fun car. And now the exterior comes a little bit closer to the driving fun this car is offering. And also with this new traction mode, when on dry roads especially, you can have a little more room then to play around a little bit more freely, and even stress this BMW rear-wheel driving feeling, because again still it's rear-wheel driven, and that accounts for this agility in the riding, of course. And so you can stress this factor even more. So let's say on the next stop, I'll just let the vehicles pass by. We have a free road again. I think it's also more fun to you when we have a little free road. We can accelerate just a little bit. Really like this new traction mode. So interesting that what they've done with the ESP tuning for sure. I mean, acceleration wise, if you would really do head to head and directly drive it after each other, you wouldn't know the difference. However, if there are some weeks in between, I mean, the normal i3 already has a great acceleration, so the differences are not that huge again. Can never stop, drive winding roads with this vehicle. So much fun indeed. So regenerative braking wise, here for example, when I want to let the car roll, there's no real solution for that other than staying a little bit on the throttle, then you let the car roll. Then we also have different driving modes, Eco, Pro, and then the throttle input is reduced, and Eco Pro Plus. Then I've seen here just the AC turns off to save even more electric energy, not fuel. So this one would be the range, the super range mode. And then you can go to sport mode. Let's see if the steering is a little bit changed or if it's minor. This is comfort mode. This is sport mode. Yeah, the steering is a little bit stiffer then as it feels, and the throttle input is increased. But you can do that all manually. So from the electronic changing, going into the traction mode or not, is doing a bigger difference than controlling like the sport or Eco Pro mode. This is one by the way, one of my favorite spots in Portugal, the Praia do Guincho. Such a beautiful place. Always love to go here. And considering it's mid-November, it's pretty crowded here. Wow. Guess must be the waves today, which are pretty high. Makes all the surfers come here. One pedal riding versus being able to roll through is a question of getting used to. Again, if you want to hold the speed or just roll, then you have to leave your foot a little notch just on the throttle, then you're also just fine. So, dynamic driving or for cruising, this vehicle is definitely fine for both. For myself, I found that I was a little bit afraid that this one might be too stiff. It is not. The i3 in general is already a stiff and sporty vehicle. Here even a notch further, even a little bit more sportier driving fun. So you can decide in which direction you want to go then. And now to our conclusion for today, BMW i3s. Well, for those who thought that the i3 does not look sporty enough yet, well, with this sports package, with the new i3s version, there is now another alternative, and I think it does do the car very well. I can still live very well without the base i3, but I think I also find a lot of good choices here for design with the i3. So what's your opinion on that? Interior is surely the main unique focus of this vehicle. It has a modern layout on the interior, not as the standard as the past vehicles, on quite short length. You have a lot of room on the interior, and it is really a lounge atmosphere just to feel very pleasant. I like that. Of course, it makes most sense when you combine them with the two sustainable seating options, and that fits then also to the other recycling materials in the basic concept of this vehicle. Driving-wise, it's such a super fun car and it drives even sportier than it looks. The difference i3s to the normal i3, well, I mean, it's not that huge, but I think that's also important because otherwise it would have become too stiff and actually too uncomfortable. There's still everyday comfort available by that. If you seek more comfort, then stay with the base model. If you seek more sportiness, then pick the i3s to get a little bit more boost, a little stiffer suspension and so on, also with bigger wheels. So you have the choice there right now. Other than that, also the normal i3 gets some design tweaks. Main changes that you always get the LED headlights, and even before, you know, there was this battery update, which is also pretty crucial because the realistic value of 200 kilometers or about 125 miles per hour, you can already work with that for sure. So I would like to hear your opinion on the BMW i3s, what you think, and I hope we could solve all your questions. If you have some more, then put them in the comments, and maybe also our community can help then and, you know, help each other by answering those questions that are still left over. Thank you so much for watching Autogefühl. Tune in next time.